The UGF flagship's forward shields buckled under the onslaught of plasma torpedoes, the hull fracturing like an egg. Captain Scott Boyd gripped the armrests of his command chair, his knuckles white as he watched in horror. The Komar warships effortlessly shredded humanity's most advanced vessels. Their firepower and technology far outclassed anything the United Galactic Fleet could muster. In mere minutes, the once mighty human armada lay in ruins, reduced to a smattering of crippled ships venting atmosphere and debris. Desperate measures. Get me firing solutions on those cruisers. Scott barked at the weapons officer, desperation edging into his voice. The officer shook her head, sweat beading on her forehead. Weapons are down, sir. That last hit took out our forward pulse cannons. On the scanners, Scott watched helplessly as the Komar ships swooped in like vultures, picking off the straggling human vessels. Escape pods erupted from the flanks of dying ships, only to be mercilessly shot down by precision alien lasers. The Komar showed no mercy. This was no battle, it was slaughter. The general's command. The comm crackled and a frantic voice blared through the smoke-filled bridge. Captain Boyd, this is General Vorian. The fleet, it's lost. The Komar have superior numbers and firepower. We grossly underestimated their capabilities. Scott felt his blood run cold at the normally unflappable general's panicked tone. What are your orders, sir? Retreat, Captain. Pull back any ship still capable of limping away. We must regroup. Static drowned out the general's next words. Komar invasion imminent. Fall back to Epsilon Adani and await further orders. Vorian out. A vow for revenge. As the communication cut, Scott silently surveyed the remnants of his once proud fleet being systematically obliterated by the rampaging Komar. Just days ago, Earth Command had boasted of the invincibility of the human armada and certain victory against the primitive aliens. How wrong they had been. Rumors swirled of the Komar reverse engineering advanced alien technology, possibly even allying with some mysterious elder race. It was the only explanation for their sudden, overwhelming advantage. Slamming a fist on the arm of his chair, Scott made a vow. He would undertake any mission, court any risk, sacrifice anything to uncover the secret behind the Komar's terrifying new power. For he realized with cold certainty that if he failed, it wouldn't just mean the loss of the fleet or the war. It could mean the end of the human race itself. A glimmer of hope. As the battered human ships limped through the void, a chime sounded on the bridge of Captain Scott Boyd's vessel. He turned to the comm officer. Report. Sir, we're receiving an encrypted transmission from an unknown source. They claim to have critical intelligence on the Komar tech advantage. Scott frowned. After the crushing defeat, any lead was worth pursuing, but the timing and secrecy set off alarms in his head. Trace it. No good, sir. Signals bouncing off a dozen relays. Whoever they are, they're damn good at covering their tracks. The message played, the voice distorted. Captain Boyd, I have information that could change the course of the war. Meet me at these coordinates near the Komar border. Come alone. A risky decision. Scott weighed his options. It screamed a trap, but what choice did they have? The Komar would roll over them unless they found a weakness to exploit. He hailed General Vorian over a secure channel. Sir, I need permission to take a team to meet an asset. Asset? What asset? Unknown, sir, but they claim to have intel on the Komar's tech. Absolutely not. The fleet is in full retreat, and you want to go off on a wild goose chase. Scott took a deep breath. General, with respect, what do we have to lose? We just had our asses handed to us. Unless we uncover something we can use against them, this war is as good as over. Vorian was silent for a long moment. Fine, but keep it small and quiet. Anything goes wrong, I'll disavow knowledge of your actions. Understood. Yes, sir. Boyd out. Assembling the team. Scott assembled his team, the best of the best. If this was a trap, he'd make the Komar regret it. As they approached the coordinates, the sensor officer called out, Sir, I'm detecting a ship in orbit. Looks like a Komar scout. Scott switched to tactical view, studying the sleek alien craft. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up. Red alert, ray shields. If this is an ambush, let's not make it easy for them. He turned to comms. Hail them. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the angular features of a Komar. Scott spoke first. This is Captain Boyd of the UGF. You have one chance to explain why I shouldn't blow you out of the sky. The unexpected ally. The encounter. To Scott's surprise, the Komar on the screen raised his hands in a gesture of peace. Captain, I am Commander Xorox. I am the one who contacted you. I mean you no harm. Why should I believe you? Scott's eyes narrowed. Because I am about to send you the schematics of our most advanced fighter. Xorox typed a command, and Scott's console lit up with incoming data. The engineer studied the file, her eyes widening. Sir, this is legitimate. With these plans, we could upgrade our own birds, maybe stand a chance against them. A turncoat's offer. Scott turned back to Xorox, suspicion etched on his face. Why are you helping us? What's in it for you? The Komar looked away, a flicker of pain in his eyes. Because I no longer believe in what my kind are doing. This war, the slaughter, the subjugation, I can't be a part of it anymore. I want asylum, a new life. And there are more like me. We could be valuable allies. Scott searched the alien's face for any sign of deceit. He found none. What are you proposing? Come down to the surface. I have a hidden base where those loyal to me have been gathering. I'll tell you everything I know about Komar operations, fleet movements, and I know the location of the shipyard that builds our dreadnoughts. Destroy it, and you cripple our ability to make war. A decision of trust. Scott chewed his lip, weighing the risk and potential reward. A proximity alert blared. The sensor officer paled. Sir, multiple warp signatures. A Komar battle group just dropped out of FTL. They're heading right for us. Scott pounded a fist on his armrest. He had to make a decision now. Trust Xorox and take out the shipyard, striking a blow against the Komar, and maybe sparking a rebellion, or bug out with the intel they had, leaving the rebels to die. The leap of faith. Scott's eyes darted between Xorox and the sensor readouts. The Komar battle group closed in fast. We're going in, Scott growled. He turned to Xorox. This better not be a trap, or I'll space you myself. Xorox nodded grimly. I understand, Captain. My life for my people's freedom. Scott barked orders rapid fire. Hansen, right, gear up. We hit that shipyard hard and fast. The strike team assembled in minutes. Human commandos strapped on jet-black combat armor, while Xorox's Komar rebels donned their own sleek battle suits. They armed themselves with a hodgepodge of advanced weaponry, plasma rifles, railguns, and exotic Komar energy weapons Scott had never seen before. The infiltration begins. Stealth systems engage. The helmsman called out. Approaching defensive perimeter. Scott gripped the command chair. Xorox. Those codes better work. The Komar tapped furiously at a console. Tense seconds ticked by. We're through, Xorox said. They didn't detect us. Relief washed over Scott. Maybe this crazy plan had a chance after all. Targeting the shipyard. The shipyard loomed ahead, a massive complex of sprawling hangars and foundries. Xorox pointed out key targets on the tactical display. Control center here, reactor core there. Hit those, and the whole facility goes down. Scott nodded to Hansen and Wright. You heard the man. Split up and hit them hard. A desperate strike. The teams piled into assault shuttles. As the bay doors opened, Scott saw the hulking shapes of half-built Komar dreadnoughts. A chill ran down his spine. If they failed here, those monsters would be unleashed on human worlds. Go, 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 Scott yelled. The shuttle screamed towards the shipyard. Alarms blared as they penetrated the perimeter. Komar security forces scrambled to respond, but it was too late. The shuttle slammed into access ports, disgorging teams of heavily armed boarders. A fierce battle. Scott hit the deck running, plasma bolts sizzling past him. Firefights erupted as the strike force fanned out, securing key positions. Hansen, take your team and secure that control center, Scott ordered. Right, you're with me. We're hitting the reactor. They fought their way deeper into the facility. The Komar caught off guard, but quickly recovering. Reinforcements poured in from all sides. Scott's team stacked up outside the reactor chamber. Place the charges, Scott instructed. Wright quickly set the breaching charges on the door. Fire in the hole. The door blew inward, and Scott's team surged through the gap, guns blazing. Komar technicians fell in sprays of purple blood. The reactor core. Plant those charges, Scott yelled. We don't have much time. Wright's team rigged the reactor to blow, working quickly under the pressure. The entire facility's defenses seemed to converge on their location, plasma fire filling the air. Scott's comm crackled to life. Captain, we've got trouble, Hansen's voice came through. A Komar fleet just dropped out of warp. They're on to us. Scott cursed under his breath. How long until the charges are set? 2 minutes, Wright replied. But we're under heavy fire. Extraction and evacuation. Make it happen. We're about to light this place up, Scott ordered. Alarms wailed throughout the facility as the Komar fully alerted. Waves of defenders swarmed towards the human positions. Charges set. Wright called out. Ready to blow this popsicle stand. Do it, Scott ordered. All teams, fall back to extraction points. Double time. The reactor detonation rocked the entire shipyard, secondary explosions rippling through the facility. Gouts of flame erupted from ruptured fuel lines. Scott's team fought a running battle back to their shuttle, Zorrox and his rebels covering their flanks. The escape. As they reached the shuttle, Scott glanced back at the destruction. The shipyard was in ruins, a massive victory, but at a significant cost. Get us out of here, he ordered the pilot. The shuttle lifted off, dodging debris and enemy fire. They streaked towards the rendezvous point, where the rest of the fleet awaited their return. Debrief and future plans. Back on the flagship, Scott and Zorrox were debriefed by General Vorian. This information is invaluable, Vorian said, studying the data Zorrox provided. We have a chance to turn the tide now. Good work, Captain. And you, Zorrox. You've earned our trust. Zorrox nodded, a grim determination in his eyes. This is just the beginning. There are many more like me, ready to fight against the tyranny of the Komar. A new alliance. With the newfound alliance, humanity had a fighting chance. Scott knew the road ahead was long and fraught with danger, but for the first time since the devastating defeat, there was hope. We'll need to strike fast and hard, Scott said, planning their next move. The Komar won't expect us to hit back so soon. The battle continues. As they prepared for the next phase of their campaign, Scott couldn't help but feel a sense of renewed purpose. The Komar had underestimated humanity's resilience, and now, with new allies and critical intelligence, they would strike back with everything they had. The war was far from over, but the tides were beginning to turn. Striking back. A new strategy. With the intelligence provided by Zorrox, the UGF devised a new strategy. They would hit the Komar where it hurt the most, their shipyards and supply lines. The goal was to disrupt their operations and weaken their ability to wage war. Scott and his team were at the forefront of this new offensive, ready to carry out daring raids deep into enemy territory, planning the assault. In the war room, Scott and General Vorian pored over maps and tactical displays. We need to hit this shipyard next, Vorian said, pointing to a key Komar facility. If we can take it out, we'll cripple their fleet production. Zorrox nodded in agreement. It's heavily defended, but if we strike fast and hard, we can catch them off guard. Launching the offensive. The fleet prepared for the assault, ships and fighters readied for battle. Scott briefed his team, emphasizing the importance of the mission. This is our chance to turn the tide, he said. We go in, hit them hard, and get out. No mistakes. The tension was palpable as they approached the Komar shipyard, but the determination in their eyes was unmistakable. The battle begins. The fleet emerged from hyperspace, launching a barrage of firepower at the shipyard's defenses. Explosions lit up the void as shields failed and structures crumbled. Scott led his team in assault shuttles, breaching the facility's hull and engaging Komar defenders in fierce firefights. The chaos and destruction mirrored their previous raid. But this time, they had a clear objective and a plan. Taking down the defenses, Scott's team fought their way to the control center, neutralizing security systems and disabling defensive measures. Meanwhile, Zorox's rebels targeted the reactor, planting charges to ensure the facility's destruction. The Komar forces were relentless, but the combined human and rebel forces pushed through with determination and skill. A turning point. As the charges detonated, the shipyard was engulfed in flames, a massive fireball signaling their victory. The fleet outside cheered as another critical Komar asset was destroyed. The victory was a turning point in the war, giving humanity and their allies a much-needed boost in morale and resources. Regrouping and rebuilding. Back at the UGF base, Scott and his team regrouped, assessing their losses and planning their next move. The war was far from over, but each victory brought them closer to their ultimate goal. The alliance with the Komar rebels grew stronger, and together, they prepared for the challenges ahead. A new hope. Scott stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking out at the stars. The fight was tough, but humanity had proven its resilience time and again. With new allies and critical intelligence, they would continue to strike back against the Komar, pushing forward with hope and determination. The battle for survival was far from over, but humanity would not go quietly into the night. The Alliance's resolve. Strengthening the Alliance. The success of their recent missions brought more Komar defectors to the Alliance. These new allies provided invaluable intelligence on Komar operations, fleet movements, and weaknesses. Scott and Zorox worked tirelessly to integrate these defectors into their forces, strengthening their resolve and bolstering their ranks. Training and preparation. With the influx of new allies, the UGF focused on training and preparation. Commandos and pilots drilled relentlessly, learning to work with their Komar counterparts and mastering new tactics and technologies. The combined force grew stronger and more cohesive with each passing day. A plan for victory. In the war room, Scott, Zorox, and General Vorian planned their next major offensive. "We need to hit the Komar command center," Vorian said, pointing to a heavily fortified planet. "If we can take out their leadership, it will throw their entire operation into disarray." Zorox nodded. "I have contacts on the inside who can help us. It's a risky mission, but the potential payoff is immense." The infiltration. The fleet launched the mission with precision, deploying strike teams to infiltrate the Komar command center. Scott led the main assault, while Zorox and his rebels provided crucial support. They moved through the enemy stronghold with stealth and efficiency, neutralizing guards and hacking security systems. Confronting the leadership. Scott's team breached the inner sanctum of the command center, where the Komar leadership was caught off guard. A fierce battle erupted, but the element of surprise and their superior tactics gave the UGF the upper hand. One by one, the Komar leaders fell, their command structure shattered. The aftermath. With the Komar leadership decimated, chaos spread through their ranks. The victory was a significant blow to the enemy's morale and organization. The UGF and their allies capitalized on this confusion, launching a series of successful raids and liberating several occupied worlds. A beacon of hope. As news of their victory spread, more species oppressed by the Komar joined the alliance. The rebellion against Komar tyranny gained momentum, fueled by the hope and determination of those who fought for their freedom. Scott and his team became symbols of resilience and defiance, inspiring others to rise up. The road ahead. The alliance faced many challenges, but each victory brought them closer to their goal. Scott knew that the final battle against the Komar would be the toughest yet, but he was ready to face it with unwavering resolve. Together, humanity and their allies would fight for a future free from oppression. A legacy of courage. Scott looked out at the stars, knowing that the fight for freedom was far from over. But with each battle, they were building a legacy of courage and determination that would be remembered for generations. The alliance was strong, and their resolve unbreakable. The war for the galaxy's future continued, but hope burned brighter than ever. The final stand. The Comar's last stand. The Comar, reeling from their losses, regrouped for a final stand. Intelligence reports indicated they were amassing their remaining forces at a heavily fortified star system. Scott, Xorox, and General Vorian knew that this would be the decisive battle that would determine the fate of the galaxy. Mobilizing the fleet. The UGF and their allies mobilized every available ship and fighter for the final assault. The combined fleet was an impressive sight, a testament to the unity and determination of the diverse species fighting for their freedom. Scott briefed his team, emphasizing the importance of this mission. "This is it," he said. "We're taking the fight to the heart of the Comar. We either win here, or we face extinction. The battle begins." The fleet emerged from hyperspace, launching an all-out attack on the Comar stronghold. The void lit up with laser fire and explosions as the two forces clashed in a titanic struggle. Scott led his flagship into the thick of the battle, coordinating strikes and directing firepower with precision. A fierce struggle. The battle raged on, the outcome hanging in the balance. The Comar fought with desperation, knowing this was their last chance to crush the rebellion. But the combined forces of the UGF and their allies were relentless, pushing forward with unwavering determination. Infiltrating the command ship. Scott and his elite team launched a daring raid on the Comar command ship, fighting their way through intense resistance. They breached the command center, confronting the Comar High Command in a final brutal showdown. The fight was fierce, but Scott and his team emerged victorious, toppling the enemy leadership. Turning the tide. With their command ship destroyed and leadership decimated, the Comar forces began to falter. The Alliance pressed their advantage, overwhelming the remaining defenses and securing a decisive victory. The Comar stronghold was in ruins, and their ability to wage war shattered. Celebrating victory. As the last Comar ships were destroyed or captured, the Alliance celebrated their hard-won victory. The galaxy was free from Comar tyranny, and the future looked bright. Scott and his team were hailed as heroes, their bravery and leadership instrumental in achieving this monumental success. Rebuilding the galaxy. With the war over, the Alliance turned to the task of rebuilding. The liberated worlds worked together to repair the damage and build a new era of peace and cooperation. The lessons learned from the war guided their efforts, ensuring that such tyranny would never rise again. A new dawn. Scott stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking out at the stars. The fight had been long and hard, but they had prevailed. The galaxy was entering a new dawn, and humanity had proven its resilience and strength. The legacy of courage and determination would guide them as they built a brighter future together. A lasting peace. The war had forged strong bonds between the diverse species of the galaxy. The Alliance transformed into a governing body, working to maintain peace and cooperation. Scott continued to play a crucial role, his leadership and vision helping to shape the new order. The legacy of hope. Honoring the fallen. The galaxy honored the fallen heroes who had sacrificed everything for freedom. Monuments and memorials were erected, and their stories passed down through generations. Scott and his comrades were celebrated as symbols of courage and resilience, their legacy inspiring future leaders. Advancing knowledge and technology. With peace restored, the galaxy turned its attention to advancing knowledge and technology. Research centers flourished, and new discoveries were made. Humanity's ingenuity, combined with the knowledge of their allies, propelled the galaxy into a new age of innovation and prosperity. Cultural renaissance. The post-war period saw a flourishing of cultural exchange. Music, art, and literature from different worlds were shared and celebrated, creating a rich tapestry of galactic culture. Festivals and events brought people together, fostering understanding and friendship. Scott's continued influence. Commander Scott Boyd, now a respected elder statesman, continued to guide and inspire. His leadership during the war had been instrumental in the Alliance's success, and his vision helped shape the new era of peace. Scott's legacy of courage, unity, and hope endured, shaping the galaxy's future. A bright future. As the galaxy moved forward, the memory of the struggle against the Kumar remained a source of strength and unity. The new government worked to ensure that such tyranny would never rise again. The future was bright, and the galaxy stood ready to embrace it, united and resilient. The next generation, the new generation, inspired by the heroes of the war, took up the mantle of leadership. They were determined to build on the legacy of their predecessors, ensuring that the galaxy remained a place of peace, cooperation, and innovation. The spirit of resilience and determination continued to drive progress and unity. A legacy of hope. Scott looked out at the stars, knowing that the fight for freedom had been worth it. The galaxy was at peace, and humanity's legacy of hope and courage would be remembered for generations. The war for survival had ended, but the journey towards a brighter future had just begun.